Cup. Maria, Marshall, and Simon hanging out with you at the desk today. This is one of my favorite tournaments of the entire year. Marshall, what are you most looking forward to this weekend?
Well, so I actually was doing a bunch of the photos, the team photos coming in. And we did a whole bunch of them yesterday when the teams first arrived to register for the tournament. But then the really cool stuff starts happening this morning when they come back and they go, can we do the photo again? Because now they're dressed
in
up.
Costume.
Yeah, and they've got like some traditional garb from their country on. And so I reshot a bunch of them and was really happy with it because it just gives a different feeling. You're not used to this at this level, right?
Right.
And, you know, at the Pro Tour, people aren't like, I'm going to dress up in a costume. They're like,
I wish they would,
they're like,
but
what's
you know.
my last sideboard card, right? But here, there's like a kind of a celebration angle to it, too.
Absolutely. 74 teams coming out to battle in this tournament. Simon, how about you? What are you looking forward to?
It's just an absolutely unique event, right? We don't have this kind of nation cup anywhere else. And for me, it's really how everyone gets to compete. Some teams, you know, they have their captain and they're really relying on that captain. Other teams, 2, maybe 3 players with Pro Tour experience. You have the big teams, you have the USA, you have Japan, but you have the smaller countries which can definitely be successful at such an event.
Well, let's take a look at the format because it's a bit of an unusual format and schedule at this tournament. Once again, unique not only in the teams coming here to battle for their nation and sometimes in costume, but also what we're playing. Rounds 1 through 3 today, we're going to start with Guilds of Ravnica Team Sealed Deck. That's, of course, 12 Guilds of Ravnica boosters per team used for Team Sealed Deck. Marshall, is there anything we should be looking out for here?
Yeah, I mean, so if you've never seen Team Sealed before, just from a general standpoint, it's extremely powerful. It's the most powerful form of limited that you can get at this type of level. These decks are better than regular booster draft decks, and in this particular format, with an emphasis on gold cards, specifically pooled in a subset of colors, and a lot of mana fixing, these decks are going to be super, super powerful. I mean,
ideal versions of the deck.
Yeah, like they'll almost look like, you know, kind of mini versions of like a block constructed deck.
Wow.
Now, it won't be quite that strong, but you'll see little shades of like that curve out would be viable in standard.
Sure.
You know, sometimes. And then sometimes people will miss their third land drop and lose. Still
Speaking of standard, rounds 4 through 7 is Team Unified Standard constructed. Simon, tell us a little bit about this particular format.
So the important thing about Team Unified is that whenever you decide to play a card, it has to go into one of your decks and one deck only. And this is especially exciting in the smaller formats like Standard, where a single card can make the difference in a matchup.
Sure.
Do you have that Detection Tower or not? Do you have that Carnage Tyrant or not? And Standard is in a place where we know what the top decks are. We're going to get into the details later. So I think the configurations themselves are relatively clear. And then the big question is, can you find that third deck that somehow gives you an edge over the opposition?
All right, so Guilds of Ravnica Team Sealed Deck and then Team Unified Standard today. The big number that teams are looking to reach is 4 wins. Once you get 4 wins today, you can stop playing. You're safely advanced to day 2. The top 32 teams will advance to day 2 here at this tournament. And once we kind of get near the end of the day, there's going to be a little bit of heartbreak because a couple of teams on 4 wins, Simon, won't actually make the cut.
Yeah, so the system here is different from almost any other tournament because you get to stop playing when you have 4 wins. Actually, you also get to stop playing when you have 4 losses.
Have to stop, I think.
Yes, and then the crunch moment is when you're 3-3 and you need that final win because suddenly you know you're not only playing to win and be in, but then you might also have a tiebreaker crunch against anybody else who is on 4 and 3.
All right, let's take a look at what's going to be coming down the pike here on Saturday, Stage 1 and Stage 2. And this is where we get into a bit of a pool play here. Simon, what in the heck is this?
Yeah, so the pool play is another specialty of the World Magic Cup. You group the competitors, the remaining teams, into 4 teams each. And within these groups, you play until the teams reach 2 wins. So that's your goal, which means we have 4, 2 winners, 2 losers. The 2 winners play for advancement. The 2 losers play for elimination. And then you have the loser of the winner's bracket and the winner of the loser's bracket, and they fight it out for the final spot.
And then, of course, is our top 8 coming on Sunday, and that is going to be Team Unified Standard all day on Sunday. There you get a look at our slide there for what's coming up ahead when we head to our top 8. Let's take a look at our prizes for this tournament just pretty quickly. Here's the prize payout. First is $15,000, not too shabby, per player plus 8 pro points. Second, $8,500, and so on and so forth down the line. But who is here this weekend? 74 teams. We've got some big names in the room. We've got a lot of little names, I suppose, too, people who haven't played in a lot of Pro Tours, in fact, any Pro Tours at all, but get a chance to come and play at this tournament. And Rich went around and met them all this morning.
All right. Hey, I'm Mark Torbios, the German national champion.
All right, let's do this. Let's meet the teams at the World Magic Cup. Here's Luis Salvato, the reigning player of the year, representing Argentina. Next, it's Australia. Captain is David Mines, back again in the green and gold. Belarus is next. In the red, you've got Nikolai Potovin. He's a great Grand Prix player from the mid-2000s. Then, beside them, it's the Austrians. You've got Emmanuel Gershenson, Mark Mulbuck, Elias Klocker. They're very, very good. Over here, it's the Belgians, Pascal Viren, Michael Millis in the yellow there. I think they've got a great chance this year. Bolivia are led by Marco Vargas. Then on we come. Who's next? On my right, it's the Brazilians and the Bulgarians. Christian Ivanov is the Bulgarian captain, and in the Hararu Latin shirt, Carlos Ramao leads the Brazilians. As we continue backwards, well, who's next? It's Canada and Chile. Here's the Chileans, Patricio Roman back again, and that man you'll recognize in the blue shirt, that's Alexander Hayne. 100% of the time that he's captain Canada, they've advanced to day 2 of this competition. You better believe it. A great team, they most certainly are. Next, China and Chinese Taipei opposite each other here on the Magic the Gathering battlefield. Peter Ye in the middle there for Chinese Taipei. I'm going to come on round here, and who's next? Let's take a look at Colombia and Costa Rica for you. Camilo Urrego leads the Colombians. For Costa Rica, Carlos Pau has a top 8 from Grand Prix Mexico. Then it's Cyprus. Daniel Antonio is the captain here. He's played in every single World Magic Cup for them. And then it's the Croatians. Vieran Horvat is the captain. He's got a Grand Prix title to his name. Now, this table is packed with great names. Here's Hall of Famer Martin Juza. He's the captain of the Czech Republic team. But watch out for Martin Hrysek as well. Very good Grand Prix player. And then my ideas are one of the potential winners. Dane Blast, you remember Simon Nielsen for? He captains the Danish team alongside another Grand Prix champion in Oscar Christensen, and the national champion is Rasmus Roth. We'll expect to see them deep into the tournament. Dominican Republic are next, and Ecuador. Here's Ecuador for you. They're trying for their first day 2. Would be fantastic if they could manage that. And the Dominican Republic, Jose Alvarez is back. 33rd last year, just missed out on the top 32. So then, who have we got next? In the gold and the purple, it's Team England. Autumn Burchett, there they are. Francesco Giorgio, Chris Orchard. Behind them, it's El Salvador. Robert Castro has a Grand Prix top 8. Then we go back to Europe. Lots of European teams, of course. It's Estonia and then Finland. Estonia, Carl Sarup made the top 8 at this event in 2013. And then for the Finns, Matti Koisma and Lauri Pispa both have Grand Prix titles. We carry on. We get as far as 2 real headline acts. Now watch out for this team. This is Team Germany. Christian Hauck on the right there in the Phoenix New Dawn jersey. David Joachim here on the right, and this gentleman here is Mark Tobias, one of the great players at the WMC, 9th in 2016, 3rd 2017. Can Germany go one better? And then this is the French team led by Jean-Emmanuel Deprat, the winner of Grand Prix Warsaw last year. On we go, and now we get to Guatemala and Greece. Here are the Guatemalans. Good luck to them. Kevin Perez has some top-level experience, custom jackets as well for them. And then the Greeks, led by Makis Matsoukas. They, of course, are former World Magic Cup champions. So on we go as we head on round. Honduras and Hong Kong. Here's another Hall of Famer for you, Jackie, in the red. That is Mr. Li Shi-chan leading Hong Kong, of course. And then at the far side, Honduras, the first time they're in the World Magic Cup, Klisman Lopez leads the way for them. Next up, it's Hungary and Iceland. Here are the Hungarians. Norbert Salazny, the mighty dragon. There, of course, Gabor Koksis on the team once again, and Akos Kenyeres. For Iceland, the captain, Sigtryggur Oscar Hrafnkelsen. Close, maybe. We'll see. Hopefully they do very well here at the World Magic Cup. Then it's Indonesia with Christian Wijaya leading the way. And then we get to the Irish team as we head on round. Let's follow things through. Indonesia there. There's the Irish with David Murphy. Great job by them. And now Israel. We see at the back there. There's two-time world champion Shahar Shenhar, along with Yuval Zuckerman at 15, the youngest player in this event. And then here's Mr. World Magic Cup himself, Andrea Mengucci, the Italians. He's finished fourth, he's finished third, he's finished first. He finished first in this very building. They are a terrific team once again. We'll see how they do. Now, over on the far side, defending champions, Japan. How will they fare this time around? Moriyama Masahida, Naoya Namba, and of course the famous Ken Yukuhiro captaining the side. For Latvia then, it's Gint Straimanis is the captain, and as we head on round here for you, next up it's Lithuania and Luxembourg. Here's Lithuania. Domantas Savadkis, we want to give a shout out to him. Couldn't make it, so a replacement team captain. We miss you, and we hope you're doing well. Then next round, on we go. Here's Steve Hatto, played in every World Magic Cup for Luxembourg, the captain there. That's Luxembourg. As we head on past our judge crew, here's Macedonia, Samuel Petreski amongst the team here, doing a great job. Vladimir Trashevsky is in his 5th World Magic Cup. And then on we go, and here are the Malaysians. Joe So, this country has a terrific record in the World Magic Cup. Next, one of our smaller countries, Anton Morgenstern, leads the way for Team Malta. Here they are, great job. And can you guess who's at the back there, Jack? I think you might be able to. It is Team Mexico, fresh off their title win at the Grand Prix in Liverpool last weekend. Now, behind me over here, we've got the Netherlands, a great team. You've got Thomas Hendricks there, Tiemann van Blankenvoort, amongst them, and Dan Prout. And then New Zealand, you see Jason Chung here in the red shirt. He's played at every World Magic Cup for New Zealand. Next up, it's Norway. Sveinung Bjornerud, hello my friend, 3 Grand Prix top 8s for him, one of the great independent statisticians of the Magic game. And here's Simon Carmichael and the Northern Irish team. Great to see them back again. Simon once again looking to reach day 2. And then as we carry on, here's Panama, 10th last year. James Salazar returns. And then the Paraguay team, Andoni Astigaraga, last year they made day 2, a terrific job by them. And then at the back here, it's Peru and the Philippines. Francisco Cifuentes has 3 Grand Prix top 8s in the last 18 months. And then in the corner, the Philippines, Yan Ang leads the way. Now, if we turn around, one of the big favorites for this event, this is Team Poland. In the green shirt, you've got Radek Kaczmarczyk. In the red, you've got Gregor Kowalski. I think they look absolutely terrific. And at the back, a lot of you will recognize Marcio Carvalho, the Portuguese superstar. Tiago Fonseca also has a handful of Pro Tour appearances. Next up, it's Raul Porian here with Team Romania. There we are, looking to advance to day 2, 3 Grand Prix top 8s for Porian. And next round, as we carry on, here's Puerto Rico, Jose Neris leading the way. He's back once again. All right, here's Team Scotland, one of the proudest countries in the World Magic Cup. The boys, the only team to have advanced to day 2 on every single occasion, as many Scottish people reminded me on Twitter this week. So congratulations to them. That's the Scots, and here's the Russian Federation. This man here, Dmitry Budakov, a 2-time Magic the Gathering Mox World Champion, playing with Bogos when he won second time around. Another someone who's been in so many World Magic Cups, Alexa Talarov leads the way for Serbia. And then for Singapore, at the back there, you've got Kelvin Chu in the red shirt. He is the captain of Team Singapore, made the Final 4 of Worlds 2 years ago. 2 friends and neighbours here from Europe, we've got Slovenia on the far side. You can see Robin Dola there with a ton of Grand Prix experience and indeed World Magic Cup. And then right here, it's Ivan Flock, the captain, of course, of this team. Milan Niznansky and Richard Hornansky make up the Slovak team. I think that could be the favorite team for this World Magic Cup. Then we carry on. Nam Sung-wook, you see in the black. Hi there, from South Korea, and I think you can guess, literally wrapped in the flag, Kalayan Petkov and Team South Africa. Best of luck to them. Couple of Grand Prix starts, couple of Pro Tour starts for Kalayan. Now here is another big favorite team. Tony Ramis Pascual on the right, in the black there, and then in the red shirt, it is your reigning world champion, Xavier Dominguez. This is the team that the Spanish hopes rest on. Also Alexander Callado there, that makes up the Spanish team. The hosts, can they bring it home? 2 teenage players here for Sweden, playing with the mighty Joe Larson. That's going to be quite the thrill ride. And then as we carry on, here's the Swiss team, led by Andreas Gatz, Michael Hitz and Ivo Grossholtz. And then at the back, it's the Thai team of Tiruat Chavarinda and Akarash Sorikup. 2 of them have a ton of World Magic Cup experience. We're almost done. Who have we got left? It's the Turkish team. Here they are, led, of course, as they always are, by Yusuf Kamal Veifa in the middle there. Hope that they do well. And this is one of my sleeper teams. This is Ukraine. Alexei Ryabakon has got a ton of experience. And this gentleman in the back here, Mike Krasnitsky, a Grand Prix champion in the past. I think they're really good this year. Here we are, American fans. It's Team USA. So we have Dylan Brown on the right, Justin Andrus on the left, on the far side, and of course, Hall of Famer Seth Manfield leading the way. That is the hopes that Team USA rest on. Can they claim this final World Magic Cup? And then we get the Uruguayans once again. 9th in 2014, Mauricio Lopez is back from last year. Last table, who is it? Well, it's Wales. Sam Rolfe back from the top 8 in 2017 with the boys. And then from Venezuela, Humberto Pataka is in his 3rd World Magic Cup. 74 nations, 1 trophy, 1 last shot at Magic Immortality. It's time for the World Magic Cup.
Thanks so much, Rich. Wow, that is
He just rattled that right off.
Encyclopedic knowledge there.
Wow.
Amazing stuff. Well, Marshall, I want to know, we've met all of the teams now. Who do you like to win the whole thing?
I'm not going to tell you that. What I'm going to tell you instead
Going rogue.
is my favorite team.
Oh, okay, sure. That's
So,
fair.
look, I'm rooting for the United States. That's where I'm from. But you have to have a backup team, right? You never want to be all in on one team. For me, Team Mexico. That's our neighbors to the south if you live in the U.S. And
Their costume is so great.
Yeah, they were one of the teams that came back and wanted another photo, and I'm like, I can't not, right? And
Yeah.
they got the hat. It just looks fantastic. If you're not rooting for them, at least partially, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, and every year they kill it on costumes, by the way.
They do,
So they've
yeah.
got it figured out. How about you, Simon?
Well, it's going to be a little bit biased, hashtag bias. The German-speaking teams are really strong this year. We have Christian Haug and Marc Tobias in the German team, so 2 really experienced professionals. Christian Haug is actually a Platinum Pro, and of course Marc Tobias is here for the 3rd time, 9th place and 3rd place last 2 years. And they prepared with the Austrian team, who also has 3 super experienced players. So I'm expecting a lot from them.
And you sat down with Matej a little bit earlier to give us an insight on some other teams to watch at this tournament. Let's find out who they are.
Hey guys, it's me, Simon Götzen, here with Matej Zadelkai, and we can feel the excitement in the room. It is World Magic Cup time, Matej.
Yeah, I love the World Magic Cup. It's by far my favorite tournament of the year, and just the excitement on the faces of the players of the 74 teams here just makes it all worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still remember vividly last year, we had Japan just crushing the tournament, but also the team, I mean, it was amazingly good. Yuya Watanabe, Shota Yasuoka, and what was his name?
Kenta Harane.
Keita Harana, you know, he knows all the names, of course. That was a supreme team. They got the title, and this time around, not as strong. Ken Yukuhiro is the captain, but a really young team trying to prove itself.
I mean, Japan is always going to be a force to be reckoned with in the World Magic Cup, but we also have another really strong team, a team they beat last year in the finals, Team Poland. They brought back 2 out of the 3 players from last year. So Radek Kaczmarczyk, actually the back-to-back national champion, but of course, their team is headlined by Grzegorz Kowalski, number 2 in the world this year, and just the platinum player overall, really strong player. They're lined up with the third that's not as experienced, but
They lost Piotr Grogowski.
They did, and it's always going to be a huge loss when you lose player of his caliber. But I still expect them to do really well this year as well. But speaking of worlds, I think that we're in Spain, and there's one Spanish player that I think wants to prove himself as well.
Of course, Grzegorz Kowalski lost the World Championships to Xavier Dominguez from Spain. He's here to represent his country. Spain, traditionally, not the strongest team at the World Magic Cup. So if you want to prove yourself, this might be your last shot for Xavier Dominguez and the Spaniards.
Yeah, I mean, the Spaniards also have Tony Ramis Pascual on their team this year to play with Javier, and I think he's a solid player, and I think he can maybe break Spain at least into the top 8.
But it's quite a lot to carry for Dominguez, if you ask me. We will see another team that has something to prove here from South America.
Yeah, Luis Salvato is our reigning player of the year. He's from Argentina, and traditionally speaking, Argentina actually does okay in the World Magic Cup. They almost always make it into day 2, but they have never made it into the top 8. And now with the reigning player of the year at their helm, and 2 players that actually do have Pro Tour experience, I think it might be their year to really break this curse of never making the top 8.
Salvato is amazing. He beat Seth Manfield, of course, in the Player of the Year playoff, or the second playoff we've ever seen. I mean, we have to talk about the United States, right? Seth Manfield headlining a team. I think it's not as strong as we've seen in the past.
No, but they're confident. I talked to them, and they're like, yeah, I think we can win this.
Okay, we will have to see about that, because traditionally, I mean, the United States is a powerhouse. The best players in the world currently are from the United States. Most platinum pros by far. But this event is different. We don't have basically only platinum pros in these teams. We have Seth Manfield, great player, and then 2 relative unknowns.
Yeah, but speaking of like teams with good players across the board, or like experienced players, I would say, because of course a lot of the players on these teams are good. One of my favorite like duo teams are Austria and Germany. It's 2 teams who have been working together for the World Magic Cup, and their team just includes so much talent. There's the Austrian team has 2 gold pros and a player who has a GP top 8 and lots of experience on the GP and PT circuit. And of course, Team Germany, headlined by Christian Hauck, the platinum pro, and together with Marc Tobias.
Marc Tobias managed to qualify at our nationals, of course, my German-speaking friends. And I have to say, when I see a team with 2 pros, like really dedicated, successful pros, competing together, preparing together, I have my eye out for them, for sure.
Another great story for me was actually from last week. Team Mexico, Simon, what?
Out of nowhere, can we say that? It's GP Liverpool in England, it's cold, and the team from Mexico flies there, actually a GP London champion from this year on their team in Marcelino Freeman, and then they just crush the event. They just say, look, we're here for the World Magic Cup, but we have this GP trophy in our luggage.
Yeah, what a great achievement by the Mexican team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to do well at the World Magic Cup. They're already used to playing with each other. They already have one success behind them, and it just wouldn't surprise me if they managed to add a top 8 to their board.
Who else is going to be good? I mean, we have 74 teams here. That's just a few of them. Who is trying to make their mark here?
There are so many great storylines. I wrote down a few of them. One of my favorite is actually Team Italy and Team Denmark have players. They're both captains in Andrea Mengucci for Italy and Simon Niels from Denmark, who have already won the World Magic Cup in the past, and they're looking to become the first players to win 2 World Magic Cup titles. And when I talked to both of them, they were so excited about the opportunity to do so. And plus, Italy has top-8'd 3 World Magic Cups in a row. And of course, Team Denmark. You remember Dane Blast? Mm-hmm. That was amazing. It was an amazing experience. That was 2014, and the Danes are really looking to run it back. Some of the other teams that I saw were very confident, and with 3 good players on their team are teams Finland and Netherlands. They're both teams who are like, yeah, I think we can win this. We have a really good team. Well, I think we're better than most. I mean, hats off to them. Let's see if they can convert. And I also want to shout out our friends over in Singapore, headed by Kelvin Chu, and in Brazil, headed by former world champion Carlos Romao. I think these 2 teams are under the radar, but overall, I think their player quality is quite good overall, and it wouldn't surprise me to see any of these teams going deep into day 3.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Those are our teams to watch for this event. 74 nations competing for the title of what might be the last World Magic Cup ever. So Sunday night, we will have our World Magic Cup champion. And with that, for Matej, for me, back to the news desk.
Well, those are some of your teams to watch out for this weekend. Germany, of course, amongst them. They came in third last year. Can they do any better this time around? Brian David Marshall went to find out.
Right. Hey, I'm Marc Tobias, the German national champion this time. And there's my teammates, Christian Haug back there and David. And yeah, we're Team Germany, I guess. We didn't do that well for a long time. Like, I think we made like day 2 once or something. But then 2 years ago, we got 9th. It was pretty close. Like, some of our team was pretty devastated afterwards because like we had a very bad matchup in a certain configuration. We got it twice and like only lost to them. And then yeah, so I figured next time we'll be better. And so it was, luckily. And so we got 3rd last year, 9-3, and now hopefully 1, right? But this year, Christian Haug had a very, very good run. And so he overtook me by quite a bit. He made platinum. And so I needed to qualify the old-fashioned way through the nationals.
Yeah, hello, I'm Christian Haug, and yeah, I'm the team captain from Germany this year. Yeah, I had a pretty good season. I hit platinum this year, so I had the most pro points in Germany, so yeah, I'm the team captain. Pretty amazing. It started off at PT Ixalan, the first one, where I actually top 8'd, which was amazing. Then I made 2 GP top 8s like a few weeks later, and I did pretty well in the 3 PTs as well. Yeah, it pretty much all came together in the end when I flew to Richmond to collect my last pro points to hit platinum. Yeah. At PT Vancouver, that's where I first met David. I knew he played a PT before, and I watched him play, and he's actually a very talented player. So it's not like he has no experience at all. It's not how it works.
Hey, I'm David Joachim. A friend of mine just borrowed me his deck, and I said, all right, I run this. And I went undefeated in constructed, like except for the finals. I don't know, like sometimes it's just like that in Magic. Like actually at the Pro Tour where I played in Vancouver, they had like a open piano on the street. In between rounds, I would always go there and play piano for like 20 minutes, and it would really calm me down and like be really ready for the next round. And then it actually worked out quite well. Like,
I think I approach deck building a little bit different to most other people. So I'd like kind of start from the ground up and build from there instead of just taking something that works and like trying to tune it. And so most of the time somebody sits across from me, they expect something out of the ordinary, I'd say. Well, there's something in Magic to go big or go home, I guess. People have a lot of trouble adapting, I find. So when they see something that they're not used to, they tend to not know how to deal with it. And so if you somehow attack them from an angle that they're not used to, you get a huge edge there. And if you find something that's actually really good as well as being something they don't know, then you're just in the clear. Yeah, I think the craziest deck I started playing was kind of like mono blue dredge in standard with the Drowned Secrets. It was basically a creeping chill Arclight Phoenix deck. I had a sideboard plan for that deck that involved splashing 2 Fire Captain, and the kill was to reanimate it, because you mill your whole deck so you get it for free, and then you also get a Beacon Bolt in your graveyard for free, and since most of your decks is spells, that's going to be 20 almost all the time. Yeah, so there was kind of a weird mono blue dredge deck that played 2 Fire Paladins, but it was decent, but not good enough, I'd say.
He's more the guy who plays the fancy stuff, and I like playing the tier 1 decks and tune it a little bit for the meta game. So the rock and solid choice, you know. I can still learn from David and Mark. They can learn from me. So
I think it's always nice, like if you're with more advanced players, then you can always learn a lot. It's really nice to have like the setup, like the physical cards, and then.
This year I'm the team captain, but Mark winning nationals, like that's amazing. I think we have a pretty good team this year. Yeah, I actually don't have a trophy by myself. Like, even though I playing for such a long time, I never won a GP. I never won a PT, of course, would be amazing. And basically, I don't have a trophy at all on winning. As it stands now, the last World Magic Cup would be an amazing achievement. Yeah, I don't know. I think Simon will be rooting for us too. So, yeah.
The World Magic Cup is one of the most fun tournaments you can play at a high level. Like, I don't consider myself a casual player. I can't really play EDH or something. I need to win something if I'm gonna play, right? And winning the last WMC would be pretty cool. And also, like, the team atmosphere is always something else at the WMC. It's a small, compact tournament. Everybody's like hyped because they can, like, well, represent their country, I guess. And that is something that is not, you can't have in any other tournament. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
I think we should make it to the last day. I would really like that.
Well, to be honest, I think we have a good shot at winning the whole thing. I approach this tournament like I approach every tournament. I'm not here to just take part. I want to win the whole thing, right? But I think we have a pretty good shot, actually, yes. I think we can do it. If everything went our way, I think we can win the tournament, of course.
All right, a closer look there at Team Germany. All right, the two of you. You were out on the floor, Simon, taking a look as the teams are kind of building their team sealed decks. Anything stand out to you?
So what's really fascinating is the communication aspect to me, because not only the language. I mean, most of the teams speak the language that is the main language of the country, but not all of them actually. Team Belgium communicates in English, I noticed. But what I really mean is who takes control of the deck building. Is this the captain, the one central figure that really controls what's going on, or is it a more democratic process? How are players deciding which color combinations to play, which guilds how to distribute the guilds? Are they really clear that they always want an aggro deck, one control deck, and a mid-range deck, or is it more fluent? I just thought this was really fascinating.
All right, there's a look at our feature match area right now. Japan versus Israel, two powerhouse teams in round number 1. And Shahar Shenhar, that's right, playing Ken Yukuhiro in our round 1 feature match. It's time for round 1 here at the World Magic Cup. Don't go anywhere. It's coming up in just a second. Marshall, which of these teams are you going to pick?
I'm going to go with Japan on this one.
Put you under the fire. They're reigning champions, Simon.
Don't underestimate Shahar Shenhar. He has a lot of experience at World Magic Cups. He's a great player, and I think the team really trusts him to deliver.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Team Sealed, we could see some really powerful stuff down there in the feature match area.
Yeah, for sure.
Too.
And in fact, I expect that we will. Usually the decks tend to break down into sort of similar color patterns, and the question is which one's sitting across from what, and basically who's running Boros.
All right, well, let's find out. It's time for round 1 here at the World Magic Cup.
Hello and welcome back to coverage here of the World Magic Cup here in 2018. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. I am in the booth with Simon Gertzen, and it is our distinct pleasure to bring you coverage here in round number 1. We're down in the feature match area. Well, we've got some nice ones, especially on that middle seat. You see the team nearest us. That is the team from Israel. That's Shahar Shenhar. In the middle there, he is flanked by Yuval Zuckerman and Amit Etgar on the sides. And then on the other side is Ken Yukuhiro. Now, he's playing against Shahar here. So that's Ken on the left-hand side of your screen. He's got Naoya Namba and Moriyama Masahide. So let's get underway here. What are we looking at here in the early stages? It looks like Boros in the hands of Shahar. Ken, he's got Celestia, which is kind of not where you want to be, but maybe he just has all the powerhouse stuff for his pool.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, we are going to see very, very powerful decks. This is better than your average draft decks. This is basically some of the best draft decks you've ever had are going to look like these team sealed decks. And the green deck is the big question mark. Do you play green at all? Look at the Australian lineup. Is it Boros Dimir? No Celestia, no Golgari. Or do you build one Celestia deck or a Golgari deck? I would be very surprised if there were many teams with multiple green decks.
Yeah, and we see that Yukuhiro has sleeving up the deck with green here. It is considered one of the weaker colors. And Celestia is generally considered the worst of the kind of premier color pairs in the format, though it looks like not a lot of action here on turn 3 for Shenhar means that Yukuhiro at least takes one step towards stabilizing the board. Now that I say that, though, Luminous Bonds is going to go on Parhelion Patrol and stop that right away. The good news, though, for Yukuhiro, it's still only 3 damage from Shenhar, and he's still at 15, so if he can just manage to keep casting some creatures, he should be fine.
And something I want to mention here is...
Ooh,
yeah, this
Crawl
is,
Harpooner.
this is a blowout that Yukuhiro actually had access to last turn already. And what you can see in Yukuhiro's hand is that he is actually playing with black cards as well.
Yeah, I saw that. He's got a Eternal Troll in his hand.
From my perspective, this is actually one of the very elegant solutions to this team sealed format. If we agree, and I think that's the consensus, that green is on the lower end of the power spectrum, then just combining the green cards into one deck that's as powerful as possible. Selesnya and Golgari actually have both play with a lot of creatures, so Convoke and Undergrowth kind of support each other. I like this. I like this direction.
So Shahar, even though he's missing his land drops here, he does get to play 2 spells this turn thanks to the power of Convoke, and he's going to use Conclave Tribunal to take care of that Lidev champion right here and right now. The downside, though, for Shahar is that he's still stuck on 3. He's now behind on board fairly significantly, especially considering that Ken Yukuhiro had a follow-up play with the Rosemane Centaur, and Shahar has a lot of 4-mana spells in his hand. I see at least 3 of them. The good news for Shahar, he just ripped a mountain off the top of the library, so he will be in business now.
Yeah, if it's not too late, we'll have to see. What I don't love about Shahar's deck here is the most powerful cards he's played are the 2 removal spells. And you can even see in his hand 2 more spells. This is not how Boros wants to operate. I saw some of these teams, they have 4 Sky Knight Legionnaires. This is how you want your Boros decks to look.
Yeah, that is absurd. By the way, right now, Ken Yukuhiro looking to slam the door here, and he may find himself in a precarious position because Shahar Shenhar has Concentronic Wave in his hand, and if he can find another couple of attacks, he could set that up for an unexpected victory. Though as it stands, he's simply too far behind on board to try to leverage a card like Cosmotronic Wave, and he's going to have to use it perhaps as a removal spell in the next turn or 2, or he's going to be dead. The Skyline Scout jumped into the air last turn to get in for 2 as Yukuhiro attacked with everything, and he even got to add another creature to the board, the Devkiran Dissonant there as well. So things really looking good for Yukuhiro at this point.
Even the 2-drops, you can see that Yukuhiro's 2-drops are all cards that have something that pushes them over to the top if you reach the mid or late game. And Shenhar's creatures are a lot less impressive.
Yeah, really good point, Simon. You take a look at the 2 2-mana creatures over for Yukuhiro there besides the Crawl Harpooner, and he's got mana sinks that help him push those creatures for damage, as you said. When you look at the other side, well, everything on the board is vanilla at this point for Shahar. It's a 1-1, a 2-2, and a 3-3, and not a whole lot going on for him. It's going to be really tough to push through 11 damage given the onslaught that he's under. A Wojak Bodyguard may help a little bit because he does have enough creatures so that it's likely to be able to block, but this is a tough position here for Shenhar.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention about this format also is that you can actually expect exactly 1 aggro deck, 1 mid-range deck, and 1 control deck, just of how the colors line up. And the question mark is a little bit how the Izzet deck is built, because this can be aggressive or control. But here you can see basically the mid-range deck of the Japanese team kind of being a little bit beefier, a little bit bigger than the Boros deck, which gives Yukuhiro just a strategic advantage.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I keep rewinding back to that turn where Shahar had 3 mana but didn't have anything to spend it on. And up until that point, it was kind of a punching match. And after that, Yukuhiro has consistently added to his board and been able to really take hold here. 3 cards in hand left for Shahar Shenhar. Only 1 of relevance at this point. He does have Integrity in his hand, which he can use as a pump spell.
Actually, Shahar has Integrity, and Yukuhiro has Status Stature.
Oh, really?
So
we could see Status and Integrity
kind of fight off.
Yeah, which is funny because generally speaking, it's the second half of both of those spells that you expect to see more often.
And Yukuhiro is actually holding 3 black cards. So the reason he's thinking quite heavily here is if this somehow goes wrong, he might lose the game just by being stuck on mana.
Yeah, the splash may come to get him here, but it looks like he's just going to get in there by activating the triggered ability there on the Skyline Scout. That, of course, means that the Def Karen Dissident does not have the mana available to be activated. So that was kind of a big decision point for him as well, because he could just slam in there with the Dissident as well. But you have to make the decision on attacks when it comes to the Skyline Scout, so you don't really have a choice otherwise. Looks like
and you want that mana. You want to be able to cast your combat trick.
Yeah. So here we go. Hazda Marshall's going to jump under the bus here, as it were, blocking the Rosemane Centaur, but that's going to put Shahar Shenhar down to a lowly 3 life. Now,
wait, this is lethal.
Does he have it?
Marshall.
Does he have enough? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It's 8 plus mentor plus 2.
3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh my goodness sakes.
This is incredible.
Is Shahar about to steal this game? We talked about setting up the Cosmotronic Wave, but he's got just enough. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What a win for Shahar. He actually found a line that can get the job done.
And Yukuhiro was 1 point short. So if Yukuhiro attacks with more creatures, maybe he forces more blockers. Incredible.
And there it is. Integrity for the +2/+2 in Shahar Shenhar with the theft here in game number 1. Can Yukuhiro, perhaps a misstep on that last attack, not applying maximum pressure? Now, would have cost him some board presence there to do so, so hard to say.
Super difficult attack for him, and brilliantly played by Shahar, who knew that if he is allowed to just trump block with his 1/1, that he would have potential at lethal.
Wow. You know, I mentioned the line of trying to build some type of line around Cosmotronic Wave, but I'll be honest, I was doing it more as housekeeping rather than actually thinking he could pull it off. So super impressive stuff there from Shahar. I guess we should be used to that by now. Let's switch over, though, to one of our side tables where we have Edgar versus Masahide, and it looks like it's Izzet versus Demir.
Yeah, we might be in for a long one here.
Right. This matchup, if it's not the aggressive Izzet version, which it doesn't seem to be here, well, it might be, but it probably isn't, ends up being one that drags out for quite a while. Also, it's worth noting here that it looks like Masahide is dipping into Grixis a bit with a little bit of black in there as well.
So that's interesting because Yukuhiro is also splashing black, and but if our graphics are correct, Nanba is actually on Demir. So quite the interesting setup they have.
It's probably a very light splash. Right now we only see Discovery Dispersal, but it looks like he took one of the Demir Guild Gates and a Demir Locket, and then there could be something else in there.
You get so many Guild Gates in 12 boosters that you can actually do these kind of things. That even if it's just Discovery Dispersal or maybe 2 of them, that's already worth it to play maybe 1 or 2 black sources.
Yeah, you end up getting 1 Guild Gate per pack, but you also can pick up Gateway Plazas as well, so you'll often end up with even more than the 12.
And
wow,
Edgar has to...
This is Masahide, right? Yeah, wow. So he actually took some important cards. He has 2 Artful Takedown in his deck.
Also Connive Concoct? No, this is Amid Edgar.
Wow. Ooh. Well, I know why he's running Izzet. The best reason.
Mizzet?
You bet, buddy.
I saw a lot of Niv Mizzets on the floor.
I'll tell you what, the Demir deck has a real bear of a time dealing with the Niv Mizzet. It resolves every time regardless, and then you bare minimum, get a 2-for-1 out of it because they say, okay, use a removal spell to kill it.
I mean, if we're honest, all decks in this format have trouble with Niv Mizzet.
It's true.
Others have at least more outs to it.
Right. I mean, because like when I build a Demir deck, I often play multiple counter spells, and they become part of my game plan as a whole. Where if I'm playing Golgari or something, I actually probably have multiple answers for a Niv Mizzet, and yeah, not happy about it, but even a mediocre card like Severed Strands can take care of it, where in my Demir deck, I usually don't have that one.
You can see here, this is actually quite beautiful. Edgar trying to go for the aggressive Artful Takedown.
He is trying to tempo him out, isn't he?
And then Masahide responds with his own Artful Takedown, kind of negating the tempo advantage that Edgar was trying to gain.
Yeah, Edgar looks like he's also got Unexplained Disappearance in his hand, and he's thinking of firing that off here. He's going to return Whisper Agent with the Unexplained Disappearance, and of course, one of the big differences between the 2 decks here, even though they're playing a somewhat similar game plan as far as grinding things out and eventually trying to push through enough damage to win the game, is that Edgar does have he has access to surveil and a lot of it, and that just helps your draw steps going further.
It's actually quite funny to me how the Dimir deck, because it's facing off against Izzet, which has a lot of burn potential, but also just these powerful flyers, Arclight Phoenix and Watcher in the Mist there, two actually in the graveyard. If you look at this matchup, Dimir wants to play control, but it can't rely on winning the late game. So what Edgar is doing here is kind of saying every damage matters. I want to get in for one with that snitch, and then I want to trigger, surveil, if possible, every single turn until Masahide is dead. He's kind of racing the flyers to do that.
Hellkite Whelp was the play there for Masahide. He passes the turn back to Edgar, who's got a Dimir Spybug right now. Not the all-time best.
Well, but at least with the agent in hand to make it a 2/2 immediately.
Yeah, he's going to force the issue here, though, and use dead weight and really kind of force Masahide to make a decision here on that Goblin Crater Maker. No great target for it, but he's going to lose it anyway, so he may as well sacrifice it. He fires it off on the Dimir Informant, but with 4 toughness, it says, sure, no problem.
And with this decision, once again, you can see what Edgar is valuing here. Not even trying to get rid of the Phoenix, but instead taking care of the ground creature.
Yeah, also smart here for Edgar. He's going to play out the Dimir Spybug, and then while still having his opponent completely tapped out, he's just going to play the Whisper Agent.
Oh yeah.
Masahide knew about it in hand. There was really no surprise value to be gained off of it, and he wants to make sure to get that counter on his Spybug so that the Hellkite Whelp doesn't just snap it off. He has a job to finish, and it's you. That's a flavor text on Whisper Agent there, Simon.
I just realized that.
Yeah. Intimidating stuff for a 3/2.
Ravnica has a high proportion of assassins, like in the general population.
Would not go for a walk after dark in Ravnica.
It's like every 10th person you meet is trying to
Probably
kill you.
wants to kill you, yeah. Well, Masahide would really like to see that Niv Mizzet Perun show up, but looks like not right now. And this gets kind of interesting now. A second copy of Dimir Spybug in hand now for Edgar. And he also has Connive Concoct that he can use depending on what's in graveyards to figure out what's going on there. And that could be really interesting going down the line.
But if you count Edgar's mana, he's actually one short of going for the Spybug and the Concoct in the same turn, which is kind of what you want.
Yeah. I wonder what he can hit. His graveyard looks well stocked, but I can't really see anything that jumps out as a particular card. One of the things, by the way, speaking of graveyards, we have to keep an eye for Masahide on his side too, because he has Mission Briefing in his hand, and we could see him fire that off on something like a Discovery Dispersal, in this case a Dispersal, or an Artful Takedown.
Artful Takedown is a really good card to flash back.
Yeah.
You even get to Surveil too. If you have another instant, you might even get back your Phoenix that way.
There you go. There's also a Lava Coil in the graveyard for him. I would love to see an Arclight Phoenix come back in Limited. It's really hard to do.
Yeah, but with Mission Briefing, I think it's at least possible.
Definitely. Okay, so we're going to see a trade and then a bounce. That means that 2 damage is going to get through from the Spybug. Are we going to see Edgar just play another Spybug and ship it back, or is he going to go for something else?
I don't think he can play the Spybug with the Hellkite Whelp on the other side.
Sure. I wonder if the Hellkite Whelp can even afford to attack at this point. But at any rate, he's not going to do that. He is going to play Concoct, which is going to allow him to surveil 3.
Wow, and there's a bunch of gas on his library.
Wow, no kidding.
Doesn't even need it.
Wait, what? All right.
Oh, he wants it immediately.
I see. He's just going to bring it back right now to kill the Hellkite Whelp. Sure. Cool play here. Plague Crafter comes in, and that wall, I'm sure it did its duty early in the game. Now it has sacrificed itself for the greater good, and all of a sudden, Edgar is looking fantastic. Now, you can look at the bottom part of your screen to see kind of how things are shaping up from the match as a whole. And Nanba has won game number 1 over Zuckerman down on the bottom. But as we saw, Shahar Shenhar having picked up game number 1 on his middle table already. Did you see it?
Yes.
Ooh. That is one of the few cards that can get you out of a mess like this.
Is it too late, though? The Playcrafter has just been used, so...
Yes, Playcrafter is one of the cleanest answers to Niv Mizzet. Unfortunately for Masahide, Edgar's board is pretty well stocked on creatures that can, you know, at least survive a Niv Mizzet random ping here or there.
Absolutely, but you're still putting a 5/5 into play, and you are playing against Dimir. You're not playing against Boros, which is just going to play Cosmotronic Wave or something and kill you.
Kill you anyway. Ooh, this could get very, very interesting, because if you've never had a chance to see Niv Mizzet on the battlefield here in Limited, it gets really interesting. In Constructed, it's just almost laughably good, right? Like, you untap with it and you feel like, oh, I could probably get in for 18 this turn or something stupid. Here, it's not quite that good, but the creatures are also a lot more fragile on average, and you'll see them. I found
Niv Mizzet to be one of the scariest cards in Guilds of Ravnica Limited, with the exception being that the opponent doesn't always have the blue, 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 red, red, red mana cost.
Yeah, once on the battlefield, it's a disaster. But.
And you can discard it maybe before, things like that.
What's happening here?
I believe that mission briefing was used with Lava Coil.
So main phase mission briefing, Lava Coil, get rid of your spy bug, go. And then next turn play Niv Mizzet if I'm still alive.
Oh, that's...
We're going to need something here, though, realistically, from Masahide.
Okay. Take 2, and if you surveil, I'm still at 3.
Right.
This could be enough.
This might be. That was response.
Oh, but Edgar has
from
Capture
Masahide.
Sphere. So Capture Sphere is almost the perfect answer to Niv Mizzet.
Wow. We're going to see Niv Mizzet on the battlefield for the grand total of 1 turn.
No, but it's going to stay in play, but it's not going to be able to block.
Yeah, but it won't be in play if the game's over, Simon.
Oh, that's technically true.
Right. Which is your favorite kind of true. And team.
No, not yet.
Okay. That's down to 1, and look at Edgar. So there's a draw step to kill the spy bug. Anything? Something, Masahide? He's looking for his graveyard. No, he just hands back the Capture Sphere, and Niv Mizzet not long for this world, and that is Edgar picking up game number 1. So 2 game number 1s go to the team on the right-hand side of your screen there from Israel, and on the other side of the screen, it was only Nanba on the top there that was able to pick up game number 1.
Pretty intense start.
Wow.
To the tournament.
Good morning.
And you can see the power level of these decks.
Absolutely. Right. We already saw multiple rares cast, really powerful stuff. And a really scrappy win by Shahar. Still really impressed by that. Again, you know, we had outlined briefly the idea of trying to set up some type of game plan around Cosmotronic Wave, but it looked like it was going to be far too weak given the way that the board played out, and Shahar found the exact line for exact damage.
Yep. And he also survived on a virtual 1, because otherwise Yukuhiro would have won with his pump spell.
That's right. All right, and speaking of, by the way, here are our 2 middle competitors going at it, and the 2 best players on these teams as well. Yukuhiro and Shahar Shenhar facing off once again. Boros versus Celestia?
Abza.
Swarm Guild Mage is the play from Yukuhiro. Okay, magic card, not the best, not the worst. On the other side of the table, though, that is a 1-2 punch that is to be reckoned with. Make no mistake about it. Boros Challenger following up a turn 1 Healer's Hawk is scary stuff.
Yeah, and the Boros deck, of course, has to keep in all these Healer's Hawks. They are a cornerstone of the Boros Mentor strategy, even if you know that there might be a Crawl Harpooner to 2-for-1 you.
Boy, if Shahar has a land here, I saw he has Luminous Bonds, and there's a land on top. He can take out that Peacemaker, get in for 4 damage, and get that crucial first Mentor trigger on the stack and resolved. You know, when I look at these Boros matches or games, Simon, from kind of a big picture perspective, I often just think of Well, did you get, say, 2 mentor triggers to stick? Because if you did, it's really hard to lose from that spot.
Because it not only means you got a mentor creature, which are all quite good, it also means you were able to get those attacks in, which is kind of the key to your strategy.
Yeah, this is a really cool play here from Shahar. He had multiple options. It was not just the Luminous Bonds that he had. He also had Integrity, Intervention, and or Response Resurgence, excuse me. And so he decided to use Response to kill the Peacemaker and still get both of his creatures through on a survival. And he even had a very nice follow-up with a second copy of Healer's Hawk. The Rosemane Centaur is going to take a Luminous Bonds, and now bang, 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 2, 4, 6 damage coming from Shahar Shenhar, and Yukuhiro's life total is going to plummet from this point. This one could be ugly. Yukuhiro needs to start fighting back, finding ways to deal with everything. That's the problem, is that it's not just taking out one creature at this point. He is going to need to deal with at least the 2 Healer's Hawks in the air at some point during the course of this game, and still have something to interact with that Boros Challenger on the ground. That is a tall order, to say the least.
Yeah, and this Charnel Troll in Yukuhiro's hand looks really ill-positioned in this matchup. We've seen that Shenhar is playing a lot of removal spells that leave the creatures from the Selesnya deck on the battlefield, so the Troll doesn't have a lot of fodder. And here, I believe what the difficult decision is for Yukuhiro is whether to get rid of the Boros Challenger or one of the Hawks. The problem is you are more likely to stop the Challenger with ground blockers, but at the moment, it's actually the most threatening card in the battlefield. So the question is, do you actually have flyers or maybe some spiders to draw into to stop those Hawks?
Well, it looks like the first thing for Ken Yukuhiro is going to be the Conclave Tribunal.
Yeah, and what is, yeah, I agree with that.
I do too. His problems are far from solved, but that was the biggest problem. Wow, and right off the top of the library for Shenhar, another flyer. He drew Parhelion Patrol, and this could just be too overwhelming for Yukuhiro. He's going to be facing down 6 power of flying in the air.
At 11 life. Well, he has a bit of life gain, so...
He does. He can gain 2 life from his Swarm Guild Mage per turn. That helps offset this. Okay, that was Status Statue off the top of the library there.
He actually has one removal spell each turn, and he gains 2 each time. He might not be out of this.
He might be.
6. He goes to 13. He goes to 7. Well, I think it's fine.
He's okay?
He's okay.
All right.
At least for the moment, he's not losing this race anymore. And I would totally expect the Selesnya deck that's splashing back to top deck better than the Boros deck.
You know, he does have a lot of power for him to top deck here. He has Assure Assemble in his deck. He also has Flower Flourish, which can help him finish off the game later on, but won't be great here. And then he has 2 copies of Status Statue that we talked about.
So very, very removal heavy.
Yeah, and that is exactly what he needed against Shahar as he works his way towards stabilizing. And like you said, late game, his top deck should be better.
Yeah, and now he's setting up a miniature trap where he wanted to see if Shenhar maybe pumps the patrol before combat to trigger Mentor.
And now we're going to see Status Statue as well as Righteous Blow?
I assume so, yes.
Yeah, wow. So Statue, your Parhelion Patrol, Righteous Blow, your Hawk. Ooh, cancel that order.
That's even better. That's an even superior play.
Yeah, and this is the type of play that you say, well, should I go for this upside here, right? You take out, remember Statue can destroy not only creatures, but also artifacts or enchantments. And he used it to take out the Luminous Bond so that he could block and eat up the Fresh-Faced Recruit. The downside to the play is that it does still leave a Parhelion Patrol in the air, which he'll need to answer at some point.
Yes and no, because he has kind of answered it with the Swarm Guild Mage.
Kind of.
I mean, at least it's like parody.
Yeah, it was.
For the moment.
It won't. I mean, it might not be now thanks to the Blade Instructor.
No, but effectively Yukuhiro got a 2-for-1 here.
Yes.
Because he freed his centaur, he ate the first ground creature. Now he has something that deals damage to Shenhar. Okay, the race is not looking great for him, but it's a start. And the next ground creature, the Blade Instructor that Shenhar played, is also already answered. However, I think the patrol is the final piece that needs answering here.
So another copy of Rosemane Centaur now puts a lot of power on the board for Yukuhiro.
Okay, Marshall. I know you're a very conservative limited player.
Okay.
Would you attack with your mentor just to pump your flyer by 1 point? How much better is a 3-1 going to get on this battlefield?
I would probably do it.
I think you have to.
Yeah, here's Barging Sergeant, by the way. So multiple triggers now available to start piling onto that Parhelion patrol.
You're on 33. I think you have to make the flyer as big as possible.
I think so too.
And just hope.
And it looks like Shahar agrees. He's sending everything into the red zone now. The Barging Sergeant, that's an easy one because the worst case is a trade. But he's effectively cashing in this this Blade Instructor for a +1/+1 counter.
But now that he drew the Barging Sergeant, he actually had an even better line available to him, which killed the 4/4. But I think if he didn't draw the Barging Sergeant, we would have actually seen a suicide mission from the mentor creature.
Okay, so he put 1 counter on the Blade Instructor, 1 counter on the Parhelion patrol, leaving him with a 3/4, which unfortunately for Shahar is going to have a hard time closing out the game from this point thanks to the Swarm Guild.
But this is the thing. In a sense, yes, he didn't leave Yukuhiro with a free 4/4. But at the same time, he's now dealing 1 point less each turn, and that might make the difference.
It might be the difference. The interesting part here as well is Charnel Troll. Well, if you want a quick clock, it is a quick clock. It also can turn on you relatively quickly. But all of those trades from Ken Yukuhiro down on the ground have left Charnel Troll with food for the next few turns at least. In the meantime, Hazda Marshal's going to get frisky here, get in the red zone because Parhelion Patrol reaches down and says, "I bless you with a counter, my child." And in they go.
Oh, that's painful.
And Yukuhiro is going to trade off here on the ground. Gain 2 life on the way out, so only loses 1 life in the transaction. But I agree with you, Simon. That is painful. That's really stemming the bleeding on that Parhelion Patrol in the air, and now it's gone. I don't think this Charnel Troll can do it on its own.
Yukuhiro needs a removal spell.
Yes. Was that set a statue? It might have been Flower Flourish.
It's definitely a split card.
Yeah. I think it was Flower Flourish. Which is not really going to do what he wants here. The Charnel Troll hits very hard and very quickly, but the window is closing remarkably fast. He's got a turn left. He's got to find something immediately to either gain life or kill the patrol.
And what he doesn't know is that he's actually also losing to Cosmotronic Wave, just like in Game 1. Look at the game score. Team Israel is up.
Whoa.
All have a Game 1.
They are running it up here. It was a sure assemble. So he is going to get 3 2/2s at the end step here. All with Vigilance. Is this enough to swing the clock? Not even close. He's got 1 more creature left. 2 more creatures left, 1 after this to get rid of. And, oh, wait a minute. Is that a Crawl Harpooner? Oh, it is. Now, it is not quite big enough, though, to kill it, right?
It's exactly big enough.
You're right. There's still that 1 creature. Wow. What a draw, and it probably won't matter.
No, Shahar is just gonna
Cosmotronic Wave and call it
remember this card?
Yeah. Land, Cosmotronic Wave, and GG. That is Shahar Shenhar leading the way for Team Israel, picking up game number 1 and number 2. So that's a match towards Israel.
Really, really smart to main deck Cosmotronic Wave when you're expecting to be playing either Boros Mirrors or against these mid-range and control decks. It's a card that you're more likely to be happy about than not. So I like it in the main deck, even though I wouldn't always main deck it in classical draft.
Okay, so Israel has put themselves in a beautiful position to take round number 1 from Japan here. They now must win a single game. That's it. Either player, Zuckerman or Edgar, wins a game and it's over. Wow, boy, knocking off Japan in the first round would be a huge confidence booster for Israel going forward.
I do have to say that I like Masahide's deck a lot from what I've seen. A lot of Surveil, the Black Splash, the Arclight Phoenix, and of course Niv Mizzet.
Very powerful, yes.
I was actually very impressed how Edgar managed to win that first game, because it's not easy to play somewhat aggressively, to play somewhat life total focused when you are such a defensive deck that basically wins all the late game against almost any other deck.
I see that Edgar has brought, or at least has in his hand, a Never Happened. A good answer for a Niv Mizzet.
That's what I do on Magic Arena. First game they cast Niv Mizzet on turn 6. I concede immediately. And then I just take all the discard spells in my sideboard. Doesn't matter if I'm black. Like after sideboarding, I'm definitely black.
Simon, I do the same thing. Except for the concede, I never concede. So.
Oh, okay. You let them have their fun.
Yeah. I can take it.
That's nice of you. Also
this
nice.
is a very strange curve out now from Masahide. He went turn 3 Dimir Locket, turn 4 another Dimir Locket, and now somehow an Ornery Goblin is his play.
No, but now he's ready. Now he's ready to rumble.
Interestingly, Edgar sitting back on that Never Happened, recognizing that Masahide cannot cast Niv Mizzet anyway. Missing not 1 but 2 red mana sources to get him on the battlefield. So he can wait on it if he'd like.
That looks to be the plan, because Edgar didn't bring this in to take a random card from Masahide's hand. He brought this card in specifically to deal with Niv Mizzet.
That's right. Now this could throw a wrench in the works though, because Masahide has cracked a Dimir Locket on end step. And of course that's going to get him 2 fresh cards plus his draw step.
Yeah, but he's not going to drop 2 mountains in the same turn, so.
That's right, but it will mean that Edgar most likely will have to fire off that Never Happened next turn. You want to do it the latest you possibly can while not exposing yourself to the card that you brought it in for.
Yeah. You don't want to cast it when Niv Mizzet is already on the battlefield.
That would be bad. Or even if your opponent could potentially cast Niv Mizzet the next turn, that is your last window to realistically get the job done. Now, the interesting part here is that Masahide doesn't have Niv Mizzet in hand. And so Edgar is going to take away something and then live under the constant threat of a top-decked Niv Mizzet.
Which should make for interesting viewing, because I would expect Edgar to be trying for a relatively aggressive game plan once again.
Here it is. Never Happened. He says, show me that Niv. Let's just see it. And the bad news for him, for Edgar here, is that there is no Niv Mizzet, so he's not solving that particular problem. And that's a nice hand there for Masahide.
This is actually the worst case, right?
Yes,
because
definitely.
there's no Niv Mizzet, but the hand is still super powerful.
Yes.
So you're not even doing much with that Never Happened.
Yeah, he has 2 premium removal spells and 2 good 5-drops, one of them much better than the other, so he's going to go ahead and take away the much better one. But still...
And those lockets are scary as well.
They really are. He's got a lot of power just sort of sitting tied up in those cards on the battlefield, that as long as this game goes longer, and let's not forget, thus far, Edgar, he's played a pass wall adept. That was the grand total of his actions for the game up until that Never Happened. So
look at Edgar's hand. It was just shown there. He actually has Sinister Sabotage, Notion Rain, Dowser of Lights. He's trying his best with what he has, but the power level is not in his favor.
And again, you see the weaknesses there in this particular matchup when your opponent does have a copy of Niv Mizzet. Sinister Sabotage playing a key role in the game plan here for Edgar, and it's not going to work out for him. Here's Notion Rain. He'll undoubtedly have Shahar Shenhar over his shoulder giving him advice when asked. This is a team event, and you are allowed to help your teammates, even during the course of a match.
I actually expect a lot of captain on captain mirror matches because how likely they are to put that player in the middle, in the center seat.
Well, looks like dead weight is going to be used to open the floodgates of attack here from this pass wall adept. 1 damage crashing into the red zone. And in the meantime, Masahide, well, okay, he's going to crack the Izzet locket. That actually takes him off of the triple red, but he figures, look, I don't even have the Niv Mizzet right now anyway, I'll find it.
And he needs the black mana, so
right.
He doesn't want to be unable to cast Art for Takedown and those other splash cards.
That's, of course, assuming that Edgar ever puts something worth Artful Takedowning on the battlefield. He has thus far declined to do so. But, boy, this is not working out well from Edgar's perspective. Masahide has yet to expose a key spell to a counter spell. Edgar has proven that he's willing to sit on the Sinister Sabotage basically every turn for the rest of the game.
I think Doom Whisperer might have something to say about that.
Okay.
That with the counter backup?
Hello, Doom Whisperer on the battlefield. One of the best cards in the set. This is one of the few cards that's actually near a power level of a card like Niv Mizzet, especially given the casting cost difference. Doom Whisperer, super easy to cast by comparison, costing 1 less, only 1 color, and only 2 of that color. So,
and suddenly Masahide is not looking too great here.
Yeah, he's going to be in scramble mode here, and he's actually going to use Unexplained Disappearance to bounce the Doom Whisperer. Are we going to see a Surveil 2 in response here from Edgar? That would be probably the standard play, is just to say, I'm going to Surveil 2 before it goes, and then just let it go.
Yep, and if there's a decent spell on top, that's fine. You're not looking for something spectacular here, just more spells to cast.
Yep.
More action.
Ooh, keep.
Oh.
Not good news there for Masahide.
Was a waste of 2 life.
That's how you see it, Simon. Do you think Shahar's chiding him now for making such a foolish play?
You have to believe.
Shahar assumes that the top of his deck is good at all times, right?
It's gas.
That's how it works.
No, but especially in this matchup, taking some additional damage should not be the end of the world. We've already established that this is much more about the key threats rather than 2 or 3 points of life here and there.
Ooh, there's Niv Mizzet Perun, though, for Masahide. He found it.
This is insane.
Wow, we are seeing true haymakers, 2 of the best cards in this format, battling out against each other. Dragons or demons? What's your flavor there, Simon?
Dragons.
Me too, buddy.
Absolutely.
Not close, as we say in the business. So now Edgar has his hands full. He knows that he has a strong finisher in the form of his Doom Whisperer, but there's a much more pressing issue on the battlefield with this Niv Mizzet Perun, and he's going to need to find an answer for it, or it's going to simply chew up his life total too quickly for him to be able to stabilize from here.
Now the real question is, what does he actually have to deal with Niv Mizzet cleanly? Because a lot of his removal is not really great. I think Plaguecrafter would have been the best answer, but that he doesn't have in his hand.
He has 0 copies of Deadly Visit in this deck.
Yeah. It's actually a weakness of his deck.
Yeah, Price of Fame and Deadly Visit are the 2 cards that you look for in black for Niv Mizzet, and he has 0 of both copies. If you're in a pinch, you can Severed Strands, and interestingly, he is playing, for example, a copy of Barrier of Bones, but he actually has 2 Severed Strands in his pool, Simon, but has chosen not to play it, which isn't shocking. It's not a particularly strong card, but boy, maybe he brought some in.
He also doesn't have the fodder for it, right? He's playing that 1 Barrier of Bones, but he already has.
Dude, look at the battlefield.
The Plaguecrafter.
Would you sack either of those?
Absolutely.
Me too. So fodder acquired. All right, here we go. Niv Mizzet gets to do Niv Mizzet things. Draw a card, ping you for 1, attack you. You're down to 8. Play some spells. Oh, we're playing some spells. Lava Coil. Ken's like, don't point at that after casting the Lava Coil, just so we're clear.
Okay, so your Niv Mizzet takes 4.
Yeah. Oh, you targeted Niv Mizzet with Invincibility? All right, Niv Mizzet's gone, exiled, thank you very much. Of course, the Lava Coil was pointed at the Whispering Snitch, and another damage incidentally hits Edgar, and it looks like this one may have slipped away from him here.
We have one last shot here, I believe, and that's to concoct into a plate crafter, and then deal with Niv Mizzet.
I like it. I like this line, Simon.
What do you think about the Drowned Secrets there?
I kind of like it. These control type matchups go that way. I mean, we saw Masahide play 3 Lockets.
Absolutely.
If my opponent's going to play 3 Lockets, I'll have a Drowned Secrets all day. Is it in there? Play Crafter just the once?
Could he have targeted himself with the Drowned Secrets?
Yes.
Then I think he should have done that, just to maximize the chances for Play Crafter. I believe it's target player. Yeah. Don't quite understand that.
Yeah, perhaps a misstep there. And yes, that will in fact end things as Niv Mizzet calmly slams the door. And that's game number 2 going to Masahide. Take a look at our feature match area here. Hi, Maria. We've got a sort of a back table you can kind of see forming there as well, where we can bring in a decider. This is where we can pull a match from out in the field and bring them in that we kind of record, and we're gonna have Rich explain it for us on air a little bit. But that's why you see another match going on in the feature match area.
More magic,
indeed. That's kind of our motto, right? Me and you, Simon. More magic.
Our motto is as much magic as humanly possible.
Right. That is the ideal.
Actually, just draft, right?
Yeah, if we're honest. Okay, so let's go back up to our top table here. Nanba versus Zuckerman, and 1 game apiece for these two. Now, we mentioned it a minute ago, but the team from Israel was in a great position after Shahar won 2-0 against Yukuhiro. 1 win apiece for either of his teammates, meaning a win from either would secure the match. That is, of course, still the case, but the next one went to Japan, so this is where, okay, let's get dialed in here. Let's see if we can't find a win if you're sitting on Israel's side. Now, if you're over on the Japanese side of the table, it's rally time. It is go time. Nothing to give. Ooh, Blood Operative here from Nanba.
Huge start.
Yeah, really nice.
Perfect card to fight against the Dragonauts as well, threatening to come back over and over again.
Yeah, really, really good. Also, the incidental life gain from the lifelink here adds up in a big way against Izzet. That is really annoying. They do end up relying on you take 2 from Sonic Assault, you get a trigger from this, you take, and they've gotten in for 4 or 5 extra damage over the course of a game.
In my experience, also the trigger to exile a card from the library, from the graveyard, super relevant.
Yes, against Izzet once again.
Izzet, it's almost like you're taking a spell from their hand.
It does feel like that. Yeah, Blood Operative, an absolute nightmare for Zuckerman, all told. This is going to be a big problem for him, especially if Nanba can recur it a couple of times. Wow, and there's a Trotta now for Nanba as well. So things really piling up here for the Japanese team. And if Nanba can finish the deal here, he will force a 1-game decider between Masahide and Edgar in that control mirror down on the bottom.
And at least in this game, Nanba's deck is looking insane.
It looks absurd.
There is this one issue with Etrata, that it's not really good at beatdown.
If they don't have any creatures, it is.
Oh, yeah. If you're winning.
Oh, here we go, though. A big power play back the other direction now for Zuckerman. He's got quasi-duplicate on a Wii Dragonauts. Now, I still feel like the Blood Operative will be able to do the job here, but let's make no mistake. If he can get to 3 if he can quasi-duplicate next turn and hit for the 6, if he untaps with 3 Wii Dragonauts, he could absolutely overcome the life gain from that Blood Operative. You cast 2 or 3 spells, and you're just like, what the?
Well, if
every 30,
if every one of your spells is also a lava axe.
Yes.
But here, I believe that one of these tokens is going to bite the dust, or actually probably the original.
Yeah. I think Namba's quite happy to trade in an Entrada trigger here to stem the bleeding, because the honest truth is, looking at his board and the way that things have played out, this is one of the only ways he could lose, is letting Zuckerman go off with Quasi-Duplicate or a similarly power level card. Oh, wow. It looks like Zuckerman's just going to trade his board off here. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. He's going to invert. This is pretty cool.
So what's happening
So
now?
it's going to be a 1-3 Blood Operative.
Against a 3-3.
Against a 3-3. So Zuckerman with a very clever play here using invert. Normally invent is what you're going for, but occasionally an opportunity presents itself where invert can do well.
If invert is good, it's usually super good.
Exactly.
It's a combo trick, it takes out vaults, you can combine it with -X, -0 effects to kill creatures. It's a really fun card. It is a bit of a risky line here, I believe, from Team Israel.
I agree. Nanba has 4 untapped mana available and a grip of cards.
Well, just a bounce spell on that We Dragonauts token. It is a nice way to basically say, let's play a late game. Let's go into the late game, because the remaining 2 creatures, the remaining 2 significant creatures, are going to trade off here.
Okay, interestingly, this is going to draw the utmost of respect when it comes to counterspells in this format. Devious Cover-Up to counter invert.
And that's I have to say that's a victory for Zuckerman.
I think so too.
You've just traded your situational 1 mana combat trick for your opponent's whole turn.
Yes, the entire turn. And let's just take a snapshot here as well. Board state, virtually nothing now for Namba. He just has the 1-3. And Zuckerman, well, he still has Quasi-Duplicate in his yard, at least for now. And if he can play a creature and then Quasi-Duplicate it the next turn, especially if it's something good, he could be right back in this.
Yep. Or just start with a Piston Cyclops or Piston Fist Cyclops or any of the powerful cards that he surely has in his deck as well.
Now, the annoying part, if you're Zuckerman, of course, is if Nanba has a cheap way to trigger Surveil, because then he will lose his Quasi-Duplicate from the graveyard, unable to cast it. And to be honest, this turn from Zuckerman, not great. He just played a Muse Drake. Oh no, he just drew a Trotta again, Simon.
That's pretty crazy. That's how you win, actually.
Okay, this is going to get interesting now. I'll remind you that if a Trotta exiles the 3rd creature with that hit counter on it, the game's over. That is Nanba winning through an alternate win condition that you don't see that often, but can absolutely happen given Surveil and a little bit of luck. And we've already covered the little bit of luck problem from Namba's perspective right now. That was Shahar Shenhar, by the way, reaching in to say, how many more?
Have you ever had 2 in your deck?
2 Trotta?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It
feels unfair. My opponent complained, and then I said I have 2. And they were like, okay, fine. If it makes you feel better, I had 2.
Ral in Zuckerman's hand, not super powerful at the moment.
Yeah, and it looks like Zuckerman is just going to go ahead and try to get some value going with Quasi-Duplicate on the Muse Drake. This is going to make the Atrata less potent. She can hit still and take out one of these creatures, but these are sort of exposed or expendable creatures. Yeah, well, now that I say that, he plays out the Piston Fist Cyclops, so a much better target appears.
But also, it means that the threat of a Blood Operative is not an issue for the moment.
Yeah.
So I think
he got something out of it while the game was good.
He got something, and he even got to draw a card from it. So I think copying Muse Drake is fine.
Yeah, fine. I kind of like going for this Atrata win here.
Draw it next turn.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to attack. He can take out the Piston Fist Cyclops.
I agree. What I really like is after you have those 2 hit counters, you can aggressively surveil to hopefully find Etrata again.
Judges giving us more accurate tokens here so we know what's going on. Thank you, judges. Okay, there's 3 damage. And there goes the Piston Fist Cyclops. And Etrata is going to jump back into the library where if she makes a timely appearance again, hit, and the 3rd one, you're out. Now let's see what Nanba has this turn though, since Etrata's going to be in the library. She won't be an issue at the moment. Does he have a way to surveil and perhaps get back? Not this time. It's just going to be Veiled Shade go. Veiled Shade actually looks pretty interesting here though. A clean attacker into the relatively weak creatures on the side of Zuckerman, and he's down to 10 life as well.
As it often does actually, because the way the creatures stack up in Guilds of Ravnica Limited is that once there is this 3, 4, 5 toughness barrier, a lot of your creatures are not able to attack anymore, and the Shade kind of circumvents that nicely. Not a super powerful card by any means, but sometimes just the card that you need.
I've won an embarrassing number of Dimir games, by the way, with the combination that Nanba has here. Passwall Adept plus Veiled Shade. Not exactly how you draw it up when you put the deck together, but it does get the job done in this extreme late game.
Okay.
Here we go. Ral Izzet Viceroy has hit the battlefield now for Zuckerman, and this is a very powerful card advantage engine that he can use to propel his game forward and give him a chance to win this thing. The big question, I think, at this point is, does Nanba find Etrata?
Why do you even attack here with your Muse-Stick? I don't know. I don't quite get that.
I think I would.
Just wait and see. Force your opponent to do something. You're ahead on the board. More creatures, more lands, and a Planeswalker.
He has 2 blockers back, an additional Muse-Drake copy plus the Electromancer.
Sure, but now if I have a bounce spell for your Muse-Drake, do you chump block the Veiled Shade? I don't think so.
Right. You'd much prefer to just throw a Muse-Drake in front of it. Yeah. Because one of the ways that Zuckerman can win this game is to force Nanba to pressure Ral by using the Passwall Adept. Because the ultimate on Ral is a straight-up game winner.
Yeah, but I don't think you're winning. I don't think you're winning if you use Passwall Adept every turn. Because then...
From Nanba's perspective. Yeah, that was my point.
While you're trying to pressure the Ral, you're losing the game on the board.
Exactly. So Zuckerman, is highly incentivized to force Nanba into lines like that. In the meantime, Veiled Shade into the red zone, attacking Ral. Double block?
Yeah, and for example, here, I would have much preferred a triple block. Just saying, look, what are you going to do against 3 block?
Oh, and there's a Etrata. Oh, my God.
This is unbelievable.
He actually had it. What? Oh, my
Did he draw it? Every single draw step?
Yes, he did.
No way.
How many does he have?
4.
He has 1. Oh, my God. Etrata, the silencer, says, shh, it's going to be okay. And now she threatens to win the game next turn.
No, she isn't.
Unchecked.
She is going to die in a fiery blaze. And that was really close.
Okay, Command the Storm. Oh, from Zuckerman means he has dodged a mighty bullet and is all of a sudden in a very commanding position thanks to Rao fueling his hand, giving him a win condition, and finding that Command the Storm. Simon Nanba just cold ripping Etrata multiple turns. I wonder if he can get her back.
With haste. Goryo's Vengeance.
All right. Finally, we see a Surveil trigger here. He just hasn't needed it, but now he's going to pay the life to get back Blood Operative. But The damage seems to have been done here. I wonder if it's just too late at this point. Is there anything to exile? You definitely should. Ral relies on having instants and sorceries in the graveyard in order to take out threats.
You can see a tiny bit of sloppiness creeping into the game. Zuckerman, I believe, pointed at Passwell Adept with his removal spell.
He did.
Now Namba was about to pass the turn without resolving the Blood Operative trigger. Not a good sign. This is only round 1.
Yep. This has been an intense opener for sure, and perhaps Namba reeling a little bit from the fact that he was so close to taking this thing down by using that Atrada.
For a lot of these players also, just very honestly, it is a lot of pressure to represent your country. You're not just fighting for yourself. You're not just fighting for your pro points, your money. You have, you know, maybe your team jerseys. You have your flag on the table behind you. There is more to it, and especially a proud country like Japan, I do believe it does get to some players.
I agree. Also, you know, the way that the teams break down with a captain who's usually a very well-known Magic pro, often considered one of the best, if not the best player from your country.
Or just a superstar.
Yeah, superstar.
Close to Hall of Fame. Or
right. And you're sitting there standing next to them. Wow. How about Niv Mizzet for Zuckerman? So he is well and truly slamming the door here. He has Ral Izzet Viceroy ready to go ultimate and Niv Mizzet on the battlefield, both at the same time. And we are going to see an upset here. I mean, you know, Japan, traditionally speaking, is a much more powerful Magic country than Israel has been. And we're going to see it here. This is going to be them winning, even with a Deadly Visit off the top of the library here for Nanba. It looks like it's going to be too little too late, because Nanba needs to find a way to deal with Ral as well.
Yeah, and Ral is in range of the ultimate. What a game.
What an incredible game.
Fun interaction there. If you Deadly Visit and if miss it, you get back the Blood Operative that it killed.
That's cool.
It's
Are we going to see it? Let's do it.
Not going to
throw that dice across the room. There we go. Ral Izzet Viceroy has gone ultimate here for Team Israel. For sure enough to win the game. Take a look at that emblem. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, 4 damage and you draw 2 cards. If anything, it's too much of a good thing. But the game ends so quickly, it doesn't end up mattering. Oh, and there's a Radical Idea. Just a cool 8 damage and 4 cards off, or 6 cards off Radical Idea plus Jumpstart. Not bad.
Zuckerman has lethal if he can cast the Inescapable Blaze, I believe. Just 10
easily, yes. That's 10 right there. Sure. I see 6 mana. I see Inescapable Blaze. Can't be countered. Nothing doing on the other side of the battlefield. This is just going through the motions here. Team Israel is going to upset Japan here in the first round. Boy, this deck, by the way, from Zuckerman, I am very impressed.
and he lost game 1.
Yes. Don't know how. And there it is. 10 damage to the head. And we've got it. Team Israel wins round number 1 here at the World Magic Cup. And you see the handshakes from the players across the way and smiles down in the future match area. And welcome back to the desk here at the World Magic Cup. I'm Marshall Sager. That's Simon Gertzen. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to watch what is ultimately going to be the last World Magic Cup, at least for the foreseeable future. So this is a special event, not just for the players, but for us and hopefully for you at home as well. Thanks so much for coming along. We are going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, though, we'll talk to you about that decider thing I mentioned earlier. We'll see you in just a little bit.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the news desk. Rich alongside Marshall and Simon. Usually they protect you from me with a giant booth that I can't get into.
It's soundproof. You can't see into it.
I have no idea where you are at these things.
We hide it from him.
and now here we are. Well, that was a good one, wasn't it, Simon, to kick things off?
Really, really good start. We saw super tight play. I was super impressed by Shahar. And then also just really close games in this Is It against Demir matchup.
Okay, well, you said you were impressed with Shahar. Shahar is down in the feature match area. He's talking with Maria Bartholdi.
Maria Bartholdi on the floor with Shahar Shenhar. That was a wild match. Tell me a little bit about what was so exciting about that for you.
Yeah, I mean, that whole match was really exciting. My match ended up pretty quickly against Ken. I actually played Cosmotronic Wave both game 1 and 2 in a game I was going to lose regardless. So it was the only card that can win. And the other match, there were Niv Mizzets on both sides. And also there was an Etrada taking our creature and then shuffling and then immediately coming back into play and then doing it again. But we had Ral and Niv Mizzet and we ended up victorious.
Yeah, that was some awesome stuff to watch. I want to ask a little bit about you. You're playing a very fast Boros deck. Was there any strategic decision made there for you to be on the fastest deck?
Yeah, I wanted to be available to help my teammates as much as possible, and they're both playing really good decks and really hard decks, so I thought it was better for me to play the aggressive deck and be in the middle and help the other two.
Tell me a little bit about your team this year. I was talking to you yesterday and you said you were really excited for this tournament. You like them?
Yeah, we have Yuval, who's 15 years old and super young. That's very young, and he's very good too for his age. There's actually a group of young players in Israel who all play, and he's part of that group. And then we have Amit, who's 25, my age. So we're the two mature ones. I think we have a really good dynamic. We work really well together, and they're good players.
And you know, I saw your last match there with Japan, and everybody was smiling. They just couldn't believe what had happened in the game. Talk a little bit about the spirit of this tournament. Everyone seems to be having a great time.
Yeah, I mean, this tournament is awesome. You get to play with a team that well, for me, I just met, but other teams, they definitely know their teammates, and you get to represent your country, which is always great. You have people rooting you on from home. My team was very nervous this round, but I think those smiles, I mean, it's good nerves, but they are nervous. First round of the World Magic Cup in the feature match against Japan, that's a tough matchup.
Well, you had some fireworks for us there, so best of luck to you and more fireworks in the coming round.
Thank you.
All right, back to you guys.
All right, well, they said the coming round. It is coming very, very fast, but we've still got more magic to squeeze in with these guys. We're going to head down to the feature match area to the Decider. This is a table we keep spare at the back of the feature match area for when we are down to game 3 of match 3. And if there are two teams going at it, we want to show you how that match was decided. So we're going to take you down to Venezuela against Norway, Francisco Rangel against Ada Raven, and here is Marshall and Simon.
Thank you, Rich. So this is the decider, meaning that this game will decide which of these teams gets to pick up that critical first win. Remember, you get to 4 wins here on the first day, and you're through. Now, Ada on the side there with land for Francisco as well. And 10th Disregard, kind of a shrug start. And look at this, the ultimate answer to 10th Disregard, the Portcullis Vine from Ada.
Yeah. Unless there is some mentoring going on, of course.
Always possible with these Boros decks. Let's see what Francisco can come up with, because this is a time to strike. A Portcullis Vine is not a particularly potent magic card. It is susceptible to being ran over. And look at this, a huge step towards 1-0 here for Venezuela. The boss man's in town, Simon.
Yeah, that's huge.
Especially with no power to even eat up that token.
And in this matchup, if you don't have a deadweight here, it might actually be really difficult.
What if you don't have a land here, Simon?
That's not a good sign.
Or a deadweight. Yeah, this one could be very, very quick, as we've seen the Legion Warboss absolutely take over on boards like this. And if Ada doesn't have anything to play at instant speed, I would say this is about done.
I agree, and I have to mention also the pressure. Like, you are there in the very first round, you are about to head into the deciding game, and it turns out you get called into the feature match area.
Right.
Just for this one game.
Like plucked out of the population here and dropped in for this one game. Now the Portcullis Vine's going to block. That's going to soak up 2 damage, but 5 still coming through. And I'll tell you, Francisco hasn't even tapped the land yet this turn.
What Ada would have needed here would have been maybe a pump spell, just to get rid of the Legion Warboss, because every single turn it just generates this value, and look at this curve out.
Wow, what an insane curve. Who needs more than 3 lands, says Francisco. Ada with the chance there to sacrifice support Cullisvine, but decides that she'd rather have the blocker on the battlefield and just hope to rip that land off the top of the library, and those hopes, they were dashed because she did not find another land, and for sure this seems to be Venezuela finishing the deal here.
Yeah, this is a route
in our decider. Wojak Bodyguard was the play last turn, adding not 1 but 2 mentor triggers to the battlefield. And look at this, demote your Port Cullisvine.
Adding insult to injury.
Seriously, can't attack, can't block. Going to have to use the ability in response, which is what's going to happen, but it just seems far too late here. This isn't quite a lethal attack this turn, but realistically speaking, from this juncture, there's no coming back for Team Norway. So Venezuela looking to start things off right. We mentioned it earlier on our lead-in. You got to get to 4 wins here in the first day to lock up going forward. And that first victory has to be a confidence booster, shake off the nerves, and move on to the next round. And that's the handshake right there. So Francisco is going to win things for Team Venezuela.
All right, thank you very much, Marshall. Thanks very much, Simon. So we gave you a nice, decent match to kick things off. Japan against Israel, all very nice.
It was a great match. It
was. So we thought for the A team, for Tim and Matej, see what I did there?
That's what this was. Okay.
So I thought we'd bring in 1-0.
What is it?
United States, Seth Manfield, Justin Andrus, Dylan Brown, against the hosts, Spain, Alexander Callardo, Javier Dominguez, Tony Ramos Pascual. And we thought we might start with Seth Manfield against Javier Dominguez. That's coming right up after this break.